traders at Access Bank expect bearish sentiment to dominate the fixed income market owing to expected decline in system liquidity following this week's bond and OMO auction settlement. Kinskin Ukeje, Treasury Team Member at Access Bank, joins me now for more market movements. Kinskin, thanks a lot for joining us on the show today. It's the last trading day for the month of April, and we also saw the CBN pull a quick one with the OMO auction this week. Walk us through the highlights of this week's bond auction, the results from the OMO auction that we've gotten so far, and how this has added pressure to system liquidity.
All right, thank you very much, David, for having me. On Monday, it started with the DMO auction offering 350 billion in the market on the 29th and the 33s. What we saw in that auction was subscription stood at 497 billion. However, the DMO allotted to just 397 of the subscription on that, and the closing rate for the 29th stood at 19%, and for the 33s it was 19.99 on that. And on yesterday also we saw the CBN conduct an OMO auction on the 329 days and 350 days maturity, and what we saw was a subscription. The CBN actually offered 500 billion, and then the subscription stood at 1.06 trillion on that end, and the CBN sold, and the successful bid stood at 804 billion after that auction. And we saw the closing rates for the 329 stay at 22.69%, and that of the 350 days at 22.73%. And we could see that these settlements would impact system liquidity, which has shown strong positivity at the start of the weekend, where we saw the system liquidity start at 1.35 trillion. Yesterday we saw it also inch up to 1.52 billion. With the impact of the auction debit, we should see that take care of and reduce a bit.
Okay, now let's also shift focus a little bit towards the FX space at this moment. Now, the highlights for you in terms of FX trading patterns we saw this month, and then looking at the expectations around FPI inflows, whether or not, if this can be sustained, how much of stability we can have in the market at this moment. And for you, the trading pattern, we're looking into the month of May. What should we expect?
For the FX space, we've seen the highlights of the month was the CBN showing continuous strong presence in that market, intervening to keep the demand pressures at lower levels. Yesterday we saw the CBN conduct an OMO auction, and that also sparked renewed interest of the FPIs. Yesterday we saw them selling funds to be able to participate in that OMO auction. We've just seen the CBN continue to show strong presence, and bearing sustained supply sentiment, we just expect market participants trade with cautious optimism in that space.
And then wrapping up the conversation now, we're already midway through the second quarter as well. Now we've already, I beg your pardon, we're done with the first part of the second quarter of this year. What should investors look forward to, and in terms of positioning, because May is also a big month where we are expecting the MPC to make its decisions. How do you see these signaling from the MPC also reverberate across the fixed income market and send signals across both domestic and foreign investors?
Yeah, the MPC has always shown that they are very data-driven, and such decisions will still be based on the inflationary rates at the time, and also activities in the FX space. And we will see the CBN continue to show strong participation in that space to keep the levels still at these 1600 levels going into May.
Kinskin, thanks a lot for your time on the show today. That was Kinskin Ukeje, Treasury Team Member at Access Bank.